Well, let's get this started. Good evening, everyone. My name is Heike Dempster, and I'm the Associate Director of Public Relations and Outreach at YoungArts. My pronouns are she, her. The YoungArts campus is situated on the traditional homeland of Native nations, including the Tequesta, the Calusa, the Taino, and today the Miccosukee and the Seminole. We pay our respects to their elders, past, present, and future, and recognize their contributions and their continued existence to our community. Thank you all for joining us this evening for an info session dedicated to the ballet category of the dance discipline at YoungArts. YoungArts identifies exceptional young artists, amplifies their potential, and invests in their lifelong creative freedom. And the YoungArts experience really begins with a national competition. So before we begin the session, I have a few quick housekeeping notes. The info session is being recorded so that we can share it later with others who couldn't make it this evening. So we encourage you to ask questions and participate, but before doing so, please take a moment, and if you'd like to protect your privacy because we're sharing this video, please change your name to first name only. And also, if you speak up and want to ask a question verbally, just do it with your first name. You can also raise your hand at any time, drop any questions you have in the chat. We'll make sure to monitor that and answer that throughout. So now it's my pleasure to welcome Nidra Ward, Associate Director of Winner Programs at YoungArts. Then we have 2021 and 2022 YoungArts winner in dance, Dichter, who took his first ballet class when he was just 3 years old. He danced competitively in Minnesota, but began to pursue classical ballet in 2013. He attended Master Ballet Academy for 2 years, where he trained intensively and had the opportunity to perform as the Nutcracker. Joel competed at the Youth American Grand Prix 3 years in a row before accepting a scholarship to the Academy Princess Grace and graduated this year in 2022. He will begin his professional ballet career in Germany this fall. We also have YoungArts dance coach Kenny Easter, who began his training in South Florida with Joan Miller, who instilled the fundamentals and the importance in classical ballet. At the age of 8, he began training in ballet, jazz, tap, salsa, and then spent summers with American Theater Dance Workshop in New York. As he grew older, Easter focused more on classical ballet and began training professionally with San Francisco Ballet. He completed an apprenticeship with Boston Ballet before joining Miami City Ballet, where he was promoted to soloist after 3 years. After 4 seasons in Miami, he joined American Ballet Theater in New York and remained there until retiring as a dancer. Easter relocated to California to work as the pre-professional instructor for ABT's William J. Gillespie School, where he works with the 3 upper levels, plans and implements the men's program, and instructs the pas de deux classes. Easter has also created original work and been certified in all levels of ABT's national training curriculum. He continues to teach master classes and coach and judge young dancers in various competitions. I'd like to turn it over to someone who has served as a teacher, coach, and mentor at YoungArts and has more than 30 years experience as a dancer, mentor, and administrator. Our YoungArts Dance National Selection Panel Chair, Vernon Scott. So thank you all. Vernon, take it away.
I had to unmute first. Thank you, Heike, for those introductions. If you would like to turn your camera on so that we can see your face, I would love that, but it is not required. I also see that Judith has her hand up. Is there a question already? Which is fine. I just want to make sure. No? Okay. You can put your hand up, use that function if you would like to ask a question at any time. And as Heike said, you can also put it in the chat, and we have someone watching that will cue me or whomever the question. Okay, so thank you all for coming. YoungArts program is one that is very special to me and very special to a lot of people and students that have come through the program. It's a very interesting program because once you are a part of the YoungArts family, you will continue to be a part of that family for the rest of your career. There are all kinds of programs after the one which we are speaking about today that support artists that have come through the program lifelong. So it's a pretty amazing place to start your young career. Young Arts is also one of the only organizations that is the feeder to the Presidential Scholar Organization. Who has their own guidelines and etc. But this is the only organization that recommends artists to that organization. So it's a very humbling and responsibility that we have here at Young Arts, and we want to include as many of you young and beautiful and talented people in that process and in this program and that program. Okay, so let's just say to start off that to be eligible for the program, you have to be able to say yes to the following statements: that you're a citizen of the United States or a permanent resident green card. You can demonstrate that you're legally able to receive taxable income in the United States, and you are in grades 10 through 12, or you're 15 to 18 years of age on December 1st of the year that you're applying. Okay, those are the guidelines. It's all on our website. If I've missed anything, but all of these things are on our website, and I just sort of want to start there so you know where you are in terms of applying for this wonderful program. Okay. Then, in order to become an applicant for the program, you have to send in videos of yourself. Today, we're talking about ballet. I'm going to do a little bit of an overview because there are a lot of details that you should read and read again and ask your ballet teachers or your friends or whomever to help you get through the restrictions and the guidelines so that you're seen the best way ever. There's no videos that you send in based on the guidelines that are on our website, okay? For ballet, it's a little bit different than some of the other disciplines. Young Arts has 10 disciplines that are a part of the program: classical music, theater, visual arts, voice, film, jazz, photography, writing, I think I got them all, and of course, dance. So once in the program and you've passed the application portion of it, and you have been invited to come to Miami for Young Arts Week, you will be able to meet many other artists like yourself in other disciplines. So it's not only just ballet or not only just dance, it's all 10 disciplines that you get to meet and interact with at Young Arts Week in Miami. Okay, so now I'm going to go back to the application so that you can get that in and so that you can get the opportunity to go to Young Arts Week in Miami. The application for ballet actually has 3 parts to it. There's the part that shows your technique, and there are guidelines for that, again, on the website. You're not doing a full class. You're doing the specific things that are asked to be shown on this video that you're going to send in to our adjudicators. Besides the one that is of technique, and it's about 3 minutes long only, don't go over. There are 2 2-minute videos one of a classical ballet piece and of a contemporary solo piece, I should say. Classical solo piece and contemporary solo piece, 2 minutes each. Again, all of these are on our website so you can get the details, but I just wanted to sort of give you an overview of the things we're looking for. And Kenny Easter will also go over those because he is our ballet coach. Once you send in these applications and the videos, there are 3 rounds of adjudication. so that there are many people that are looking at your video and assessing them and advancing those that are at the top to the next round and advancing those to the top to the next round, where myself and the others on the dance selection panel view. We come down to Miami and we look at about somewhere around 150 videos, and we can have 20 to 22 people come to Miami. So it's a long process and it's thorough, and we're here to see you be your best so that we can get you to Miami with us. So any questions there before I continue to go on? It's a lot. I'm going to continue to point you to the website so that you can really get it, but I kind of wanted to give you an overview. Any questions there? Raise your hand, or is it in the...
There's one in the chat, Vernon. It says, so is there one class of each?
One class of each. Well, I'm not sure exactly what that question is. Noah, is it Noah? Who was it?
Yeah, Noah.
Can you give us a verbal on what you're asking? You there, Noah? Well, I'm just going to say then that the application is not, the videos in the application are not a full class. They are the exact elements that are asked for. Tendu, battement, battement tendu, rond de jambe. There, we give you specifically what we want to see at the bar and then the center, and all of that adds up to 3 minutes. Now, if you're asking once you get to Miami, then we have a whole full week full of all different types of classes. And unlike some of other competitions, you spend a lot of time with your coach one-on-one, working on one of the solos that you sent in, the videos that you sent in that we have selected that we want to see in person, that the dance selection panel has selected for you to show in person in Miami. And then you'll have a coach like Kenny Easter from ABT there with you for each day, working on your solo with you. In addition to that, your coach will give you ballet every day. In addition to that, we have modern classes as well that everyone takes, whether you're in modern or ballet. We have ballet people who come in to teach for everyone, all 22, whether they are modern or jazz or classical Indian, right? So we bring in the top people in their fields. We have a special class, I think it's, well, it changes when it is during the week, but we bring in people like Wendy Whalen from New York City Ballet, Robert Battle from Alvin Ailey. Who else has been recently? Patricia Delgado from Miami City. Yeah, so we bring these people in and they give a class, a master class to everyone. So it's a full week of classes of all different sorts, and of also working on your solo one-on-one with your coach for a performance sometimes during that week, so that you get to show what we saw in video. You've worked with your coach while in Miami, and then we have a performance that you get to show yourself off at your best. So that week is a wonderful, long and full week. It will feel short once you're in it, because every minute is filled with lots of fun, lots of interesting techniques that you may or may not have worked with before. And all we ask is that you try. If we give a classical Indian class and you have only done ballet your whole life, that's okay. All we want to see is your willingness to try. I think I'm going to stop there with the overview, unless I have some, oh yes, more questions.
Yeah, there's a couple more questions. Does each solo need to be exactly 2 minutes? Do you want edited variations?
I do not, well, the time limit is 2 minutes, but it is not an edited 2 minutes. It is a solo, whether it's classical or contemporary, that has a beginning and an end, and it is not edited. It's 2 minutes of dance from beginning, middle to end. And then, yes, and both of those are 2 minutes long. If it is 4 seconds short of 2 minutes, that's okay. If it is 38 seconds more than 2 minutes, that is not okay. So we needed to be within 5 seconds or so to 2 minutes on either way, but not way over and not way under, because we need to see you. We want to see you. Does that answer that question?
Yep. And then one for me, how many on average apply for ballet specifically, and how many advance to finals? So for ballet, it varies from year to year, but it's somewhere around, I would say 100 to 200 that apply. And again, as Vernon mentioned earlier, there are multiple rounds before it gets to the panel round. And so it does get whittled down into, what would you say, Vernon, for ballet? Like maybe, is it 20 or so, or does it end up being more than that you guys see in your round?
At 20 to 30 in ballet, I think.
Yeah. And then as far as finals, meaning coming to National Young Arts Week, dance overall has a cap of 22 finalists that they are able to bring to Young Arts Week. And that varies within all of the dance genres. But I also want to speak to the fact that it's not just finalists, right? We also have honorable mentions and merits. And there are no caps on honorable mentions and merits. And honorable mention winners at all levels are invited to participate in certain programming throughout the year, and then also a lifetime of support from Young Arts. So whether you're a finalist who comes to Young Arts Week, or a merit who comes to Process Intensive, which is another program that we will be hosting in person this year, and then lifetime of support. We have partnerships with places and venues across the country. And, in addition to your winning year, you receive much more than just your winning year. I think that answered that. And then, does the classical solo have to be a variation?
Have to be a variation. Kenny, do you want to take that?
I think they want to see your diversity. So classical meaning, would you consider like a balancing variation classical? Technically, it's neoclassical choreographer, but I would say that they would take that as a classical variation, as opposed to like a contemporary or a more and again, therein lies the realm of some of Balanchine's stuff is really abstract, but he also has material that is more along the classical basis. So I think just as long as I don't think it necessarily needs to come from like a 3-act story ballet per se, but they want to see something that's definitely got your classical repertoire in it, and your structure steps. And then they want to see you kind of get outside of that box as well. But again, I think the closer you can find something that works for you in the guideline of those time limits, and the same thing with the video that you send in for the material at the bar or in your technique work at in class. You're going to find in the future, if you ever have to submit a video pretty much for any kind of major ballet organization or professional dance organization, they're going to pretty much ask for the same thing. So like a lot of college scholarship programs also ask for the same thing. They want to see certain things that they're looking for. And a lot of times it's much of the same things, but you just got to be very specific about what they want to see.
I want to put a hold, sorry, on the questions, just so we can get everybody on here to talk who's going to talk.
Okay.
So I am marking the spot in the chat where we left off on the questions, and we'll get back to them after the next speaker. So just wanted to say that.
Perfect, because I see one that I really want to answer too from Noah. But anyway, so let's go on to Kenny and talk about the week itself and your work as a coach of these young artists.
My name is Kenneth Easter. I've gotten the privilege to do this several times now with YoungArts, and each year it kind of not really impresses me more. It's just when I think I've figured out what it is as an organization, I've realized that it's kind of more of a family, and it's a really extended family, which is very comforting, because the artist's world and the dancer's world in particular is very small. And that I've realized growing up and going through my career. But this is a very nice connection through other forms of dance as well. That's really just, it's fulfilling as an artist and as a coach and as just a person. It's really something special. So we start each day usually with a technique warm-up class. And then depending on really kind of how many classical artists are being viewed or classical finalists there are, that kind of allocates how much time we kind of have to work. And each year they kind of leave it up to us, and we have a big meeting before and say, look, there's 2 girls and 1 boy, and we'll kind of figure out, do we want to do the point shoe stuff right after technique class so that, you have the shoes on already, and then come back. And so that part of it changes each year, but it's basically a warm up in the morning. We go through, we'll spend the first day going through everybody's variation, both of them. And then we come back and we try different choices, and we analyze things. And especially when it was Zoom, we had to basically, figure out how to make you look your best and not necessarily follow the typical variation or classical variation structure, just to, instead of having you finish over here, let's just put you right in the middle of the camera. And I remember one thing with Joel last year where it was like, we even like costume stuff, like just to try and figure out how to look different or pop out against the background that you have per se, or music, how does your music sound right? Do you start right on music? Is there an introduction? Do we have somebody press and play for you over there? Things like that. But when it's in person, it's a whole different experience. And it's a great thing, because you are definitely forced to try different genres of dance. And that's all kind of looked upon as far as like how well you accept being in that space, and how well you take on new information, because all knowledge is power, really. So it's like the more that you can learn from other cultures or histories of dance or different genres that are just as important but different. It's, I kind of wish I could be in some of the classes, to be honest, because there's sometimes we've been peering in and been like, I want to do that. And I've had some good opportunities in my days, but it's great to watch, and it's fun to kind of be put there, because everybody's kind of in the same boat, so everybody's just in it to try it. And of course there's going to be people in each class that are kind of stronger in that field, but inevitably it kind of rotates around through all of them. So the Irish dancing last year was just, there was some amazing things that I honestly hadn't seen live, especially as a ballet dancer and a classically trained dancer. And I've done tap and I've done jazz, but this was another thing. This was another level. And I was like, I had to pick my face up. I was like, wow, I've seen girls hop around on point shoes, but I've not seen some of the things I saw. It was stunning. It really is. So, and then as far as like the whole competition aspect, I'm not involved in that too much, really. I work with you. I report back to Vernon, and also there's usually another like chair, and you know, we they're kind of constantly watching, and I just kind of work with you, and you know, usually when we were on Zoom, I think the other students were in the room and we'd have them turn the cameras off if I was working with one person specifically, but it was when we're in person, you're kind of just hanging out in the studio and staying warm and kind of absorbing, because you know, and in this form of dance, everybody can take almost every correction. I mean, unless it's point shoe specific or something, you know, the more you learn and see how people learn, the greater an artist you're gonna kind of become. And there's so many times that a person that you work with can say something over and over and over, and then you get a different person to say the same thing in a different way, and it clicks. And it's like those moments are very important. And sometimes it just takes that little understanding or seeing it click in somebody else and going, oh my God, why didn't I do it like that? So, and every year I've been there, at the end of the week, it's always an emotional situation, and not just for the contestants, but also, I mean, even the staff and the faculty. We see so much growth and so much wonderment by all the participants that it's like, it's hard to not get you know, worked up, but it's a really good, beautiful feeling. So you know, it's all amazing. And I'm originally from Florida. This takes place in Florida, so I'm kind of proud that that happens, even though it is a national thing. To do it kind of in my home state, it's kind of, when I was growing up in the 80s and 90s, I was in a studio that had no boys that danced, and you know, had to deal with that whole aspect of it. And my sophomore year, they finally opened up the first high school of performing arts, like a public high school of performing arts, and right in time for me to leave and go do my professional training in an academy. But I already saw the change starting, and right. It's nice to see that it's really it's a force to be reckoned with, and just the people that I get to work with. I mean, it's, you know, it's a privilege. So it's a privilege for me. It's a lot of I don't know, influence for you. There's a lot coming at you from every sensory, especially when it's in person. There's a lot of fatigue, but you know, it's ultimately a week that will change your lives.
Right. So thank you so much, Kenny. I just want to sort of reiterate that we are planning to be in person the next time. Before the last 2 years, it's always been in person, but we have had to, of course, like everyone else, shift to in virtual National Miami Arts Week. But so we're planning to be in person this year, or next year in January. But I do want to give Joel a chance to speak. He is our most recent winner, but it was and it was during a virtual time. So his experience is based on his virtual world that he was rehearsing, and he was, well, I'll let you tell him the location that he was in and what time of day he was dancing. So Joel, will you sort of share your Young Arts Week experience, please?
So my Young Arts Week Plus experience was really interesting. So I was lucky enough to be training in Europe during the pandemic. So when Young Arts was virtual, I had the chance to attend it. Now, the problem is, if it was not virtual, the person who runs my school would say, no, you can't do it. So for me, it was a big relief to be able to do it virtually. But there was one downside about it being virtual, especially in Europe. When it's daytime over here in America, it's nighttime over there in Europe. So I would start my day literally at like 6 p.m. and finish at midnight every day. And keep in mind, I also had classes on top of this at my school. So I was having to manage both and do both. So, yeah, it was a really interesting experience. I mean, dancing near midnight is something I hope you guys never have to do. But if you do, trust me, it's okay. You won't die. But, you know, mentally you get a little bit, it hurts. So yeah, there was a lot of different styles during the Young Arts Week. A lot of different teachers, like Kenny said, a lot of different disciplines. You really have fun meeting the people. You learn that they're all different with all amazing qualities. And when I say different, I mean like you're gonna see something amazing. So yeah, not much else to say. Just it's been an honor being with Young Arts, and I'm so happy that you guys invited me to be here to speak about it again. So yeah, I wish you all the best of luck for your application processes and whatever's to come. Yeah. Thank
Joel,
you.
how did you come up with your videos to submit to Young Arts? Like, how was that process for you?
So originally for the application, you know how it says the bar and all the center work? How I came up with it. So the music is self-explanatory. I either got it from Apple Music or SoundCloud or one of the CDs that my teacher makes. But there was something specific. Yes, I chose a jazz music for my bar work, but there's something I realized. So it says in the application that you have to do tendu in fifth en quoi, and then jeté in fifth en quoi, rondejambe à terre, rondejambe en l'air, frappé en quoi, développé en quoi, and gravement en quoi. And what I did was I put it all into one combination. It was about 30 seconds, and then I had all the other time of the video to do everything in center. So I played the intelligent role. Well, I mean, I asked the director of my school about it, and he gave me that idea. So I kind of took it and made it mine. So yeah, that's just another thing. For the studio, you just make sure you have a big, nice studio. You have a good camera. You have a good microphone, and the music is clear. I made sure to be mostly center frame for all the videos. If I could have someone move the camera, that'd be nice. But typically, I kept the camera in place. I did not put it on the floor. I put it basically at the height of my. Well, I did waist, but during the Young Arts Week, I did it more at my chest. I made sure I was wearing nice clothing, something that can show me pretty good, pretty nicely. I really just stuck with the guidelines. I made sure to read them over and over and over again just to make sure that everything was right.
Yes, thank you.
Sorry.
Yeah, I think it's important to do the actual filming. It's really good to just have a friend or a parent to just kind of stand there. You'll find that usually it takes you 4 times the amount of time you think it's going to take you. So that's a slight warning ahead of time, because I did some for my students that were trying for college programs and scholarships here in California at the time. And it's like, the minute any dancer sees a video of themselves, they're like, wait a minute, wait, whoa. Nobody told me that. Why is my knee bent? We got to do the whole thing over. And Joel was very clever with the putting it all together. You can also, nothing says that you can't switch sides. So you can do, your tendus on one side and détourner to the other side and pick up with dégagés and kind of put group things together per se. Don't only show your good foot or your good side, because we're going to see you as a dancer, not just showing your good stuff anyway, or they will see you. So, and that's part of it. It's not who looks the best at the end of the day. It's who kind of absorbs the most, and you know, no artist is perfect. So, you know, once you put a bunch of people together like that to see one another, it's like it becomes a very humbling experience, but a very nurturing and growing experience too.
I would like to answer this one question that I saw. I think it was from Noah. I wrote it down.
Yeah.
I don't see it now. Something about going one head to head. That's what I
Yeah.
saw.
Yeah. Do the dancers go head to head with someone?
Okay, so absolutely not. I want to be really clear about that, because, you know, those of us on the selection panel, we're aware of other ways competitions go and exist in their process. And there's nothing negative about that. In this world, we are looking for a well-rounded artist. And that does not only mean technique. It means how willing you are to try new things, how well do you take corrections in your discipline, how well you take changes into something that you've been working on for months, and then there's a subtle change offered to you and how you respond to that. So this is not about being against another dancer that's in the room. It's about you. It's about you being about you. And that's what we're looking at. We're looking about all sides, corners, tops, bottoms of you, not only your technique, but your mood, your willingness, your artistry. And each person we look at each person individually, and that's why you get this one-on-one time with your coach. So it's a very different type of competition, if you will. For me, it's an uncompetition, because we are building this family of 22 wonderful artists, dance artists, that you're probably at some point going to see or work with these people again. And you've gone through this wonderful week together. So that is a very good question. Thank you for asking it, because we are really not, it's less, you know, a competition of skill, but more well-rounded. Okay. Do you have any more?
Yeah, I'll go back to the chat because I also got a direct message. What exactly does receiving feedback from Young Arts but not receiving an award mean? So I will speak to that. Again, as I mentioned, there's 3 levels of awards. There's finalist, honorable mention, and merit. And those applicants who make it to the panel round, so those few that go to Vernon and the rest of the panel, but are not awarded and are eligible to reapply, receive feedback directly from the panel. And that is 2 completely separate things. And so I hope I answered that question. If you need any further clarification, please feel free to drop it in the chat again. And then Trisha says, is there a preference for work on point?
Well, I mean, preference. I guess, Kenny, is there a classical, I guess there are classical solos that are not on point.
There are. And you know what? Dancing for as long as I did, I had never really worked on the solo that Joel brought. So like, even your coaches are kind of presented with the material before we see you, and we kind of can do a little research on that. And I'm trying to recall in my brain, even if there is a solo that's not on point, I think in general, if you're going to pursue classical ballet as a career choice, that's going to come up. Go ahead.
Yeah, sorry, I'm just going to sort of riff off of that in the virtual world, you are correct, we were unable to do any partnering. But when we were in person and we do the show that has additional choreography besides that's in your video, we did have partnering. Not as a requirement, but as an opportunity. The great thing about this is we see the group of 22 dancers and we look at their strengths and weaknesses, and we put a finale to the performance. So the performance is each person doing their 2-minute solo. And then at the end, during Young Arts Week, we put together a finale that hopefully pulls on all of the master classes that were here that week from these outside people. And, each one gives us some 8 counts or 12 counts, whatever it is. And we put all of that together. So we did have the opportunity the last time we were in person to do some partnering. When I look at the requirements, it does not specifically say you must perform on point. So I have to go by what they say at the moment. We are constantly, revisioning, what's that word? Revitalizing, I'm going to say, revitalizing it. So that, so it is not currently a requirement, but I have to say there's probably not been any that did not have point work that I can recall.
I don't think so either.
But it's actually not written that you must be on point. And also to that, I work at the Joyce Theater in New York City, and we present dance all year round. And we recently presented Pacific Northwest Ballet, and there are 2 young people whose pronouns are they, that were born he, that are dancing on point. And Pacific Northwest Ballet has brought them into the fold as these young artists who dance on point. So that's just in my mind right now because I was just with that company. And so interesting comment to sort of bring to this group in the world that we are now. Okay, other questions?
Yeah, so there is one. Whoop, I just missed it. How long are the classes per day during the week? So for dance specifically, the classes usually range from around 9:30-ish in the morning. They start with their warm-ups with their coaches. And then there's different classes for each day. Their performances on Wednesday. And the day usually ends at Miami City around 3, I believe. And then you guys go back to the hotel for maybe another class at the hotel. So it's around the same time each day that you would start at Miami City Ballet and come back to the hotel. And then each night you would also see your fellow winners' performances and exhibitions and writers' readings. So it's a very long day. But as for the classes themselves, they are around 9:30 to 3-4 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yeah, and generally you have a session with your coach in the morning, and then depending upon the day, you might have a second session with your coach, and there's always a master class every day, which is sometimes outside of your discipline, and then sometimes we have more than just the 2 sessions with your coach and a master class. Sometimes we throw in another master class after the performance has happened. I know that's probably too much information, but so it's 2 to 3 classes per day, and a rehearsal for the finale, which is
that's what I was going to ask about. It's because you said that sometimes you would have classes back at the hotel as well.
Yeah, usually the finale rehearsal is at the hotel because we only have Miami City Ballet at until about 3, as Nidra said. So we rush back to the hotel and we have our finale rehearsal in, the hotel ballroom.
It's always a very quiet bus ride home.
We have another question for the solos. Do they need to be performances or can they be studio runs?
They, in fact, should not be performances. They should also not be in costume. We really just want to see the singular you and your movement. So not hiding behind costumes or groups or bright lights or dark lights. We really want to see you in the studio as yourself. And that's written in the requirements as well.
Yeah, we did make that exception for COVID recordings,
Right.
where if you don't have access to do, solos in the studio you could do one of them as a performance. So we did make that exception for COVID. We're going to revisit that, as things open up. But yeah, that is currently the requirements right now.
This one from Jana, I guess. Do you see that one?
Wait, yeah, I have one just before that. So is it new this year that merit winners and honorable mention winners will get feedback? So honorable mention and merit winners do not get feedback. So finalists, honorable mentions, and merits are all winners. They are different award levels, but they are all winners. Feedback is given to those who make it to that round, but are not awarded. And that is the feedback program, and it is not new this year. It's been around for the last few years. And then, yes, could you please summarize the reasons to participate in this program competition? Is it to network, make yourself known, to participate in the final week classes, personal instruction, and finale, being presented for the merit scholarship, etc.? So that's a whole lot.
Yes to all of that. And then some.
It's all of that and then some, yeah.
Yeah. So Nidra, because if you come to Miami, there are the levels there that are have monetary awards with them.
Correct. So all of our winners at all levels receive a monetary award. So you receive national recognition as well as a monetary award attached to that. And monetary means it's cash in your pocket. It is not a scholarship. We are not in the business of forcing you to use your money for school or education or anything. You can use it for whatever you want. So merits, honorable mentions, and finalists all receive a cash award. So that is number one. If you are awarded at the finalist level, yes, you can come and participate in National Young Arts Week, but honorable mentions and merits also receive programming throughout the year. And there is also, past your winning year, you are joining a network of 20,000 past winners that you can collaborate with. We have a platform called Young Arts Post, where it's basically like a Facebook that's exclusive to Young Arts winners. And again, that's at all levels, finalists, honorable mention, and merit. And you can go on there and see what opportunities, there's open calls, collaborating with, we had a filmmaker who needed actors and dancers and someone to write the score for their film. And they went on Young Arts Post and found all of those connections and made all of those connections and found all of these people to work with. And these winners, not just going through the programming, but also finding each other on Young Arts Post, and they're friends for life. They're collaborating on all these different projects. So it is everything you said, and then so much more. And as we've said, Young Arts supports artists and the winners for your lifetime in your career. There's many, many opportunities for emerging artists, for established artists. It's so much more.
And so many of them come back to teach and
Yes.
be part of the
Yeah.
coaching faculty. So a lot of the people that you'll end up working with are alumni, and it's to hear all of their stories throughout the years. I mean, it's a really good extended family to be a part of, just in the knowledge and the information you receive, and let alone the friends and the experience of that week if you make it to the in-person.
So I will go on to the next question. All of this information that you're saying right now, will it be posted on the website or someplace else? Yes. So this is being recorded, and it will be posted on our YouTube page. So yes, it will be online for you to get all of that information. Additionally, everything that we're saying on this is also on our website. There's a lot on the program, the application, the FAQs, all of that is also on their website. Is the age of the dancer considered in evaluating the submissions? Are all entries evaluated together? So I'll answer the first question. The adjudication process is completely blind. The judges are only receiving your videos. That's it. They don't know your name. They don't know your age. They don't know what school you go to, what your mom's name is. They don't know any of that information. They are only getting your videos. So no, age is not a factor in considerations. Are all entries evaluated together? So yes, so as we mentioned earlier, there are 3 levels of the dance discipline for the adjudication process. So if you're applying in ballet, your submission would go to all of the ballet judges in the different rounds. And then if it makes it to the panel round, it will get to the panel. So yes, all of the entries are judged at the same time to at least 3 eyes, at least 3 sets of judges in each round. And then once it gets to the panel round, it is another 3 set of eyes. So a 14-year-old on December 1st who is in 10th grade is eligible to apply. Yes. So if on December 1st, you are either the age or the grade, you can apply. You do not have to be both. It's either or. So if you don't qualify for the age, but you do qualify for the grade, yes, you can apply. And then I got another direct message. Once I complete the application, will I be receiving constant information or will it be more during the time of the competition? So applications are open from June to October. Once you apply, you'll get your confirmation that your application was received. And then the adjudication process happens after the application closes from about mid-October to mid-November. And then all winners are announced at the beginning of December, end of November, beginning of December. So you will not be receiving constant information because nothing is happening, but applicants are coming in. And then during the adjudication process, again, it's about a month long with all of the rounds. But you can see on our website too, we have a timeline that goes by, here's the application opens, here's when it closes, we're currently in adjudications, and then winners are announced the beginning of December, end of November. And then once you become a winner, if you are named a winner, then you will receive multiple correspondence. And especially if you're coming to National Young Arts Week, you'll receive a lot because you have about a month to prepare for that program. So yes, once you are named a winner, then that's when you'll be receiving a lot of correspondence. And I do just want to do a time check. We're at 5 minutes. So if you all have any additional questions, please send them our way. And the timeline was just posted also in the chat.
Joel, do you have any other kind of just takeaway experiences from it that caught you off guard, maybe?
Good question.
Well, the thing is, the first year I was filming it, like you were saying about going over and over and over again, it really got to me. So that was really hard. But no, there's not that many takeaways from it, but I can just say it's a great experience to do the Young Arts Week Plus. It really is. Yeah, everybody covered everything. So, yeah.
Was there a tough class for you during Young Arts Week?
Ooh, probably some of the improvisational classes.
Okay.
Always
really
for the
have to
classical
be
trained artist when it's so out of comfort zone.
It's not comfort zone, but that's a beautiful thing as an artist. When you go out of it, that's where you grow.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you.
I'll say one thing. Can I just kind of end with one thing? We did. They did have a classical master class with Patricia Delgado last year, who I had done a fundraiser performance for when I was with Miami to raise money for the company when it was struggling. And now she's since then married a very influential choreographer in New York and done movies with Spielberg about dance. And it's just to reconnect and see that whole thing come full circle, not even to mention the chair of the dance department was the guy that got me my audition for American Ballet Theater. So it's so impressive, this network of a family, that it's really, it's good. It's nice to know that there's something like this that exists. It's really impressive. So I encourage you, do it. You have nothing to lose. It's amazing. It really is.
Okay. Looks like we have run out of questions, I guess.
Anybody else?
Anybody?
I got another direct one, so let me just address that. I am applying for dance and writing. Will they be occurring at the same time? So the adjudication process happens for all disciplines at the same time. Yes, it is happening for that about a month span. And if you are participating in Young Arts Week, if you're selected as a finalist in both, you would have to choose which discipline you are going to attend in, because they are completely separate trajectories happening at the same time. So Young Arts Week is a week for all 10 disciplines. And if you, for example, if you win a finalist in both writing and dance, you choose to go to Young Arts Week in dance, you would still be considered a finalist for writing, but you wouldn't be eligible to win the $1,000 to $10,000 in that one. You would receive a cash award of $500 for the one that you do not participate in Young Arts Week.
And it's also important to know that we often have dancers who apply in different genres within dance. Mm-hmm. And that same guideline is true if you win in both, or if you're selected in both, then you have to choose.
Yes. Let's see. Is there a level of technique expected from applicants?
Yes.
You know, it's like there's no specific criteria, I think, other than you're going to get there because of the way that you dance and the way that you are seen with the material you present. And each person is viewed as an artist. You're not really compared against last year's winner or, you know, a different gender identifying participant. It's just, it's more of how you encompass all of the information given to you and how you grow as an artist. And it's hard to, it's so strange because watching how they select the winners, it's like, I don't even see most of the process, but watching how they watch people is how you will be watched when you enter the professional world, and how people will say, oh, I'm a contemporary choreographer, but I like to use classically trained dancers because they're not going to get injured, or they know what they're doing, or they're spatially aware, or they have rhythm. That's how it works in the real world. And it's kind of a really nice bridge and gateway between being a student and being somebody that's learning something in your craft and being guided to the professional kind of doorway, if you will. But go ahead, Vernon, you were going to say yes. I mean,
you sort of summed it up. You know, I think that if you're applying in the ballet genre or discipline and you don't have very much ballet technique, it's going to be difficult. But with the feedback program, if we see some germ of excellence other than your technique at that moment, it's very difficult. We're so open to trying to find this well-rounded artist, and we don't base it solely on technique, but however, it is what it is. You do have to have technique especially in ballet. So I hope this is answering the question. I would say to whoever asked it that you should apply,
And I think it's interesting when you said I didn't know you could apply more than once. So yes. There's already,
there's
more
some that have applied more than thrice.
So, I mean.
And have finally gotten in. So determination is a wonderful thing. So I think we can end there, Nidra.
Yeah, we're at time, so I don't want to keep anybody too much longer. Thank you all. If you have any further questions, please send them to apply@youngarts.org. That is the best place to get your application questions answered. And so that is apply@youngarts.org.
It's now in the chat.
Yes. Thank you all.
Thank you
Bye,
all.
everyone. Good luck.
Forward
to
to
see
all of
you.
your applications.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.